right now, in this heat, on a day that probably looks a lot like today, there are dogs moving from overheating into something much more serious. And most of the people with them are about to do something that seems completely right and is actually working against them. That was me. For years, I kept ice packs in the freezer specifically labeled for the dogs. I felt prepared. The summer before last, end of July, late afternoon, hotter than we'd planned for, I was at the park with Noodle and Sesame. She was fine, but I wasn't. Not in the way that being prepared is supposed to feel. I want to talk about what heat stroke actually does inside your dog's body, not the symptoms list, which you can find anywhere, but what is happening at the cellular level, in the organs, in the blood. Because once you understand the mechanism, every step of the correct response clicks into place in a way a checklist alone never delivers. I'm Sam. I'm not a vet. I'll say that more than once today. I've had dogs my whole life, and I've been reading everything I can find on canine health since my Chihuahua Noodle got his first serious diagnosis about a year ago. If you're new here, I'm glad you found this one. Stay with me. Here's what most people know. Dogs don't sweat the way we do, but they pant instead understates the problem considerably. Humans cool through sweat glands spread across most of the body. Moisture evaporates from the arms, back, neck, an enormous surface area working simultaneously. Your dog's sweat glands are on her paw pads. That is the extent of it. Everything else runs through her respiratory system. Air moves in, picks up heat, moves out. It works under normal conditions. Under the wrong ones, high heat, high humidity, a closed car, a run that went a little too long, it gets overwhelmed fast, the number that matters. A core body temperature above 41 degrees Celsius, about 105.8 Fahrenheit, is where heat stroke begins, according to veterinary research, including the work of Dr. Yaron Brukim, who has spent years studying canine heat stroke specifically. Your dog's normal temperature sits between 38 and 39 degrees Celsius. That is less than 3 degrees between healthy and in serious danger. 3 degrees. On a hot, humid afternoon, in the wrong situation, that gap closes faster than your instincts will catch it. Certain dogs face even more risk. Brachycephalic breeds like bulldogs and French bulldogs, whose airways are already structurally compromised, overweight dogs, older dogs with less cardiovascular reserve. A large UK study of nearly 1 million veterinary records confirmed breed, body weight, and age as significant risk factors for heat-related illness. But any dog in the wrong conditions can get there. Let me stop here, because this is the part almost no other video covers. When your dog's temperature crosses that threshold and stays there, a chain reaction begins. What's happening inside the body in that moment isn't just discomfort. It isn't just thirst. It isn't something that will resolve on its own in the shade. The heat directly injures the cells lining the blood vessels, the endothelial cells that keep circulation running smoothly. When those cells get damaged, the blood vessels lose their integrity and the body fires a full system alarm. In medicine, this is called hyperthermia, dangerously elevated body temperature, distinct from a fever where the body deliberately chooses to raise its own thermostat. In heat stroke, the thermostat breaks. What follows? Veterinary medicine calls SIRS, systemic inflammatory response syndrome, the body treating heat damage like a massive infection, sending alarm signals to every organ simultaneously: the kidneys, the liver, the brain, the gut. The gut is the one that surprised me when I first started reading about this. The gastrointestinal tract is what veterinary medicine calls the shock organ in dogs, the system that fails first and hardest when circulation falters. The gut lining, which normally functions as a tight barrier, becomes permeable. Bacteria that belong in the intestines can begin crossing into the bloodstream. A sepsis pathway, opening inside a dog who 30 minutes ago was just panting a little hard in the yard. Meanwhile, the liver stops producing the proteins that regulate blood clotting. And when those proteins disappear from the system, the most dangerous complication of heat stroke can develop: DIC, disseminated intravascular coagulation, where the clotting system fires everywhere at once. Clotting factors get consumed throughout the body simultaneously, and the result, paradoxically, is both clotting and uncontrolled bleeding happening at the same time. In Dr. Brucom's retrospective study of 54 dogs with naturally occurring heat stroke, 50% developed DIC. I'm not a vet. I can't tell you how to manage DIC. That is the hospital's job. But this is what is already happening, or beginning to happen, inside the dog in front of you while you're still deciding whether the situation is serious enough to make the call. It was serious enough before you could see it. That's the piece I keep coming back to. So what do you actually watch for? The first signal is panting. Not just more of it, but different. Harder, faster, not quite matching the temperature outside. Working panting, then the gums. This is what I want to ask you to do this week, while it's not an emergency. Go find your dog right now, lift the lip, and look. Healthy gums are salmon pink and moist, slightly slick to the touch. If your dog has naturally dark or spotted gums, don't panic. Look at the inner tissue of their lower eyelid instead to check the color. Get that into your memory now, because under pressure, you need a baseline to compare against. When heat stroke develops, gum color tells you what panting can't. First, they go bright red, blood vessels near the surface dilating to try to offload heat. Then, as the cascade progresses, they shift the other way, pale, then gray, then white, then blue at the edges. Blue gums mean oxygen is failing to circulate efficiently. By that point, a significant amount has already happened inside the body that you couldn't see from the outside. I had owned dogs for years before I'd ever actually looked at their gum color under normal conditions. I still don't fully trust my own reading under pressure, and I'll be honest about that, which is exactly why the time to look is right now, in a calm moment when nothing is wrong. Spumbling, disorientation, vomiting, bloody diarrhea. Those are late signs. If you're seeing any of them, the call to the emergency vet is already overdue. Now, the part I said I'd be honest about, your instinct, if you see your dog overheating, is to grab ice or fill a bucket with the coldest water available. Ice equals cold. Cold equals faster cooling. That logic is immediate and feels completely right. It's not a dumb thought. It's not cruelty. It's not the wrong impulse. It's just the wrong tool. When ice or very cold water hits the skin, the blood vessels at the surface do what blood vessels always do when they meet extreme cold. They contract. Vasoconstriction, the clinical term, means those vessels narrow. And when they narrow, blood that needs to be carrying heat from the body's core to the surface and out gets pushed back inward instead. You're asking the skin's cooling system to go offline at the exact moment you need it most. I had ice packs in that freezer for years, labeled for the dogs. I thought I was prepared. I wasn't. Here's what actually works, per guidance from Cornell University's Veterinary College, the American Kennel Club, and emergency specialists, including Dr. Gabriela Rivas at Texas A&M's School of Veterinary Medicine. Get her out of the heat immediately. Air conditioning, car or building, is better than shade. Shade is better than open sun. Cool tap water on the body, the temperature that feels refreshing on your own skin, not ice. And a critical warning here, if you're using a garden hose outside, let it run for 30 seconds first. Sun-baked water sitting in a rubber hose can literally cause burns. Focus on the neck, chest, armpits, and groin, where large blood vessels run closest to the surface. You want those vessels open and circulating, moving heat out, not narrowed. Add moving air if you have it. A fan, the car's AC directed at her. Wet skin plus airflow, evaporative cooling, is the most effective method available outside of a hospital. Stop active cooling when her temperature reaches approximately 103.5 Fahrenheit, not when she seems normal. Why 103.5? Because the core temperature can continue to drop even after you stop cooling her. And hypothermia is a real complication if you overshoot. A rectal thermometer is worth keeping in your kit for exactly this reason. But if you're stuck in a park without one, stop the water when her panting clearly slows down and becomes less frantic, or the second she starts to shiver. And all of this should be happening while you are already on the phone with the emergency vet. Simultaneously. Not after. Dr. Hale told me something about a year ago after Noodle's checkup, when I finally got around to asking her about this directly. The dogs that arrive having already been pre-cooled by their owners tend to do better. The hospital does the real work. But the window that pre-cooling buys, she said, matters. A UK study tracking hundreds of heat-related illness cases found that fewer than 1 in 4 dogs had been cooled at all before reaching the vet. Fewer than 1 in 4. If you don't already know where the nearest 24-hour emergency vet is, look it up today. Before this summer goes any further, put it in your phone. That distinction matters in a crisis more than almost anything else I can think of. Check their gum color this week. Find your emergency vet today. Keep a small fan in the car if you travel with your dog through summer. And then go be in the heat with them. Knowing more than you did an hour ago, if you've had a close call, a moment that made you wish you'd known this sooner, I'd want to hear about it. Leave it in the comments. I read every single one. Until next time, give them a scratch behind the ears from me.